welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are breaking down the massive and honestly game-changing announcements from Google I/O 2026. Because look, this wasn't just your standard tech keynote. This was the exact moment that proved AI is officially shifting. It's moving from being this passive tool you occasionally query when you need a recipe, into an always-on, active infrastructure that basically runs the back end of your digital life. Let's really get into the reality of what this near future looks like.
Okay, so let's dive right into this with the sheer, mind-boggling scale of operations Google is handling right now. Sundar Pichai opened the keynote with this staggering number. The Gemini app now boasts 900 million active users. To put that into perspective, that is exactly double the figure from just 1 year ago. So we're not talking about aspirational goals or some limited beta test for developers anymore. This is operational reality at a truly massive global scale.
And you know those 900 million users? They are incredibly engaged. We're talking about them processing an unbelievable 9.7 trillion tokens every single month. Now, if you're wondering what a token is, in AI terms, it's roughly equivalent to a piece of a word, kind of like a syllable. So 9.7 trillion of those means there is just a continuous, roaring ocean of data, coding, questioning, and problem-solving happening 24 hours a day. Furthermore, the AI mode in Google Search has now officially surpassed 1 billion monthly users globally. 1 billion, and the volume of those queries is more than doubling every single quarter since it launched. Again, this just absolutely proves we are way beyond pilot programs. When you have 1 billion people using AI as their primary gateway to the internet, you have fundamentally changed how humanity accesses information.
All right, moving into our first major shift. Section 1, the era of AI agents. Or, as I like to think of it, moving from answering to doing.
So Google is aggressively transforming Gemini from a basic, helpful assistant into an active working partner. And the absolute core of this transition is Gemini Spark. This is Google's direct answer to the whole agentic momentum we've been seeing from competitors like Claude's code. Think of Spark as a 24/7 personal cloud AI agent. And because it runs continuously on virtual machines up in the cloud, you don't even need to have your laptop open. It is literally doing work for you while you're fast asleep. Here is exactly how Spark operates in the real world. You give it a complex, overarching goal, right? Step 1, it maps out all the required subtasks to get there. Step 2, it actually executes them continuously in the cloud background. And Step 3, it integrates perfectly with your existing Google Workspace, meaning your Gmail and your Docs. Plus, and this is a big deal, MCP, or Model Context Protocol support, is coming this summer. That's going to allow it to integrate with third-party apps entirely outside of Google's ecosystem. Now, this agentic infrastructure isn't just for Workspace. It's being built directly into Google Search, which gives Search its biggest upgrade in a quarter of a century. They're introducing search agents. These are background agents that actively monitor information for you around the clock. You know how you constantly refresh pages to check stock movements, hunt for a new property listing, or look for school updates? Well, you don't have to do that anymore. The search agent monitors it 24/7 and just brings the information directly to you. Which brings us to Section 2, smart glasses you will wear, creating the invisible interface. Think about it. To support an AI that is literally always working in the background, pulling a phone out of your pocket every 5 minutes completely breaks your flow. So, launching this fall in partnership with Samsung, we have the new Android XR audio glasses. And notice the really key detail here. Fashion partnerships with Warby Parker and Gentle Monster. They are finally taking fashion seriously, which means normal people might actually want to wear them. These give you an invisible, totally private interface for Gemini directly into your ear. You get all-day voice access, turn-by-turn navigation, live translation, and context recommendations without ever having to stare down at a screen. Now, while the audio-only glasses are launching first to prioritize a natural, stylish look, Google definitely hasn't abandoned visuals. Display glasses featuring a visual overlay are currently in active development as a second product tier. But, starting with audio first ensures the technology integrates seamlessly into your everyday life without making you look like some sort of sci-fi cyborg. Let's shift gears to Section 3, winning through vast distribution with Gemini 3.5 Flash. What's fascinating is that Google's overarching strategy isn't actually to build the absolute smartest AI in some vacuum-sealed lab. Their goal is to build the most utilized AI in the world. Right now, there are basically two completely different races happening in the tech industry. The frontier race is all about raw power and benchmark supremacy. This is where Anthropic's unreleased Mathos model is setting crazy new standards. But Google Google is running the distribution race. They're optimizing Gemini 3.5 Flash to run efficiently at an incredible scale across Search, Workspace, and Android. They don't need to win a frontier benchmark to win the market. They just need to embed AI into the surfaces that billions of people literally already use every single day.
And reflecting this new infrastructure mindset, Google is totally restructuring its pricing. They are introducing a new AI Ultra entry tier at $100 a month, dropping their previous top tier down to $200. But much more importantly, they are shifting away from those annoying daily prompt limits and moving to usage-based compute billing. So it's going to factor in the complexity of your prompt and the features you actually use. This mirrors a massive shift across the entire industry toward treating AI like an essential utility, almost like your water or electricity bill.
This distribution strategy extends way beyond Google's own hardware and software, too. Gemini 3.5 Flash is now the default model everywhere, expanding to nearly 200 countries across 98 languages, and it requires no subscription at all for basic access. But here is the absolute massive kicker. Google officially confirmed that Gemini will deeply integrate into Apple's ecosystem to power a new personalized Siri later in 2026. I mean, wow, this drastically shifts the competitive landscape, basically pushing OpenAI right out of the spotlight on iPhones.
Finally, let's look at Section 4, the Open Web's future, exploring synthesizing versus searching. All of this incredible scale and this constant distribution fundamentally alters the entire architecture of the internet we use every day. We really have to pause here and ask this massive structural question. If AI search agents are constantly monitoring topics and synthesizing these perfect, customized answers directly in your search box, who is actually clicking the links? Who is actually visiting the websites of the creators, the journalists, and the businesses that originally generated that underlying information?
There is a huge, undeniable tension in this shift. Look at how it used to be. In the traditional search era, the user took the action of active querying, and Google's output was simply surfacing a list of blue links. It functioned like a really good directory. But in this new AI agent era, the user action is 24/7 background monitoring, and Google's output is synthesizing custom answers. The middleman, which is the actual source website, is effectively being bypassed entirely from the user's point of view.
Now, Google's main defense here is that search queries are at an all-time high. People are searching more than they ever have before. Sure, but more searching via AI does not automatically translate to more clicking through to source websites. Publishers and creators who have historically relied on that sweet organic search traffic for discovery need to urgently pay attention to this. The traditional path from Google to a creator's website is literally being rebuilt in real time.
So, I want to leave you with this incredibly insightful quote from tech writer Aaron Rose. The writers who will survive this shift are the ones producing content worth finding, specific, sourced, and built to last. Ultimately, the survival strategy for the open web hasn't really changed. It has just become vastly more rigorous. Because if an AI can easily synthesize your content, believe me, it will. So the really tough question you have to ask yourself in this new era of AI infrastructure is, are you creating something truly irreplaceable? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.